And hello, movie lovers. And tonight, I actually have a very special guest with me. I actually have Luke. He was here with me a couple of years ago when we actually did the not Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I did that with in the front row, but it was actually what's that movie? I'm stumbling right now.
I
Uh,
don't even remember. I have to go back and
uh,
look.
wait, I actually know the name of the movie. It's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh,
What's
What's Eating
Eating
Gilbert
Gilbert
Grape?
Grape?
Yep,
Yep,
that's
that
it.
was like the last one that we did. There we go. Now that I'm done stumbling and feeling as a host right now, we're going to go ahead and get started on Big. This is actually hands down one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies, and I know this is one of Luke's favorites, and we're happy to be able to do this with you. So, with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get on with the review. And hey, Luke, how are you?
Hey, doing great.
That's awesome. So, I just want to say welcome back to the show. I'm glad to have you back here again. I know it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
Yes, it has. I promise you, next time it won't be as long as what we did before.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's the thing: Big is hands down one of my favorite films that Tom Hanks has done. There's other movies, but this movie just resonates with me, not only on the nostalgia level, not only because of the fact it's a classic or anything like that, but if you just look at the layers that Tom Hanks was able to do to have innocence shown through his face and everything to make us believe that he's actually that 13-year-old kid, that alone sold me right then and there.
Yeah, I think this is like the kind of like his moment to show his acting chops early on that really kind of, this was like what got his career really going. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, 88 movie. I'm like I was born in the late 80s, so I would probably be considered more of a 90s kid, but like I love 80s films. So this is one, I watched when I was a kid, and it's one I like would gravitate towards a lot. So yeah, definitely has the nostalgia.
Same here. I was born in 85. So yeah, I was born around probably around the same time you were probably.
I
But
figure I was 87.
okay, yeah. But my wife also says this is one of her favorite movies to watch. Hey, baby. But yeah, it was fun revisiting this movie, to be honest with you. And in case anybody doesn't know, this is actually about a 12-year-old boy who's named Josh Baskin. Baskin, who lives with his parents and infant sister Rachel in Cliffside Park, New Jersey, is told that he is too short for a carnival ride called the Super Loops. While attempting to impress Cynthia Benson, an older girl, he inserts a coin into an unusual antique arcade fortune teller machine called Zoltier and makes a wish to be big. So that's a little bit of a small synopsis of the film. But I like how it starts off where we have that whole entire closeness with him, with Josh and his friend, and how they're playing stickball together, and how they're collecting baseball cards because we used to do that as kids and everything too. And then talking about Josh has a crush on Cynthia, and then his friend's like, "Well, guess what? I heard that she might be available. I can probably help you out." So I definitely like how he's basically his wingman to actually help him get with the girl, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the setup for this was just fantastic because it really is honing into those elements of like, that kind of preteen becoming a teenager. They're going through that growing up stage. They're very interested in girls, but they still have their core interests. They like sports, they like playing sports and collecting cards. I mean, a lot of that kind of brings me back to like the Wonder Years type feel of just that dynamic that they have. I also just find it funny that like his friend almost has a little bit more popularity than him. Like he has zero issue of like if you want to know stuff, I'll go find out for you. Like it's not a big deal. And Josh is just very like he wants to be that go-getter, but he's so like reserved and shy and quiet and timid. I just like the chemistry that they have, like especially the teenage versions of them.
Same thing, same here too. Because I like that balance of you have this quiet, timid, kind of shy kid, and then you have this one kid that happens to be his best friend who does not know how to shut up, knows how to get himself around certain things,
Oh
and
yeah.
street smart, and that's what I like about him. He balances Josh out to the point where yeah, he's shy and timid, but at the same time, he's able to try to
Hmm.
be there for Josh, and you need someone that's street smart to get him as an adult
Yeah.
into New York.
So like, it's like that's probably the first element of this that I always envied growing up is like, I didn't grow up in a big city or anything, but it was still the kind of freedom of that, right? Like these kids just seemed like they could just go jump on their bicycles and go wherever they wanted. And like I just had a little bit more restriction of that growing up. Like I could stay in like a neighborhood, but anything beyond that was kind of like off limits. And so like seeing them be able to kind of go wherever and do all these things that they're doing, like I love that. I mean, that's kind of like the intro into like this whole bigger world, right?
Right.
Because that's what part of this movie is all about is like I want to be big because I want to like that more freedom to go and do things.
Right, and also to being able to be tall enough to actually ride rides,
Oh
being
yeah.
able to just venture out and have your own set of adventure, like you said. And I also grew up in a small town as well, so I didn't have that growing up where I can just go on a hop on a bike or whatever and just
Hmm.
be in the next town or something. I was just really restricted on where I can and can go. I may spend the time up in Boston for 2 months, but at the end of the day or whatever, whenever that trip is over with, I'm back in my small town. But
Yeah.
but I just love this. I love how it goes into this whole entire fact of he goes to the carnival. Cynthia's there. She's with
Hmm.
her friends, and she's with the boyfriend that supposedly his friend said that she's available.
Hmm.
And my first thought would be like either my friend lied his ass off to me,
Hmm.
or he just wanted to build up confidence to where I could try and get with her
Yeah.
if it was available. So, but I like how he goes up to the ride, and it's actually that Ring of Fire kind of ride. And
Hmm.
oh, you rode that before? Uh huh. Yeah, I've rode that before. And of course,
Oh
he was being told that he's too small to actually ride the ride.
yeah. So I rewatched this over the weekend, and we'll get into a lot of these things because rewatching this at this age now, especially being like, having a family, this movie actually brought up more questions than anything, and we'll get into them in a
Hmm.
little bit, but yeah, like it's just like he's there with his family, right? And like I think this is the first kicker with me is like this is like the only time we get to see his dad,
Right. That's
right?
true.
Because we're
His
about to
dad kind of
yeah,
right,
we're about to get to the point where he's gonna, we're gonna get through the magic, the fantasy aspect of this, and it's like the dad is just gone, which is really bizarre to me. But I just always found it kind of funny because he was kind of like building up that courage, right? Like he sees her, he wants to go over there. He's like telling his family, like, I got this. Like, I'm gonna be a man, I'm gonna go over there and ride this ride.
right.
Y'all just split. And they don't even split, they just hang there. It's just
Exactly.
that
They just kind of
classic
hang there and everything. Right.
awkward embarrassment. But then I always thought it was like funny because it's like as soon as he gets told no and he gets booted away, you'd almost expect his family was going to be there to like comfort him about that, but it's like they're just gone. He just like takes off.
Right. It's like, okay, well, we just got done embarrassing you in front of this girl. We're gonna go on ahead, head over to the funnel cake section, and good
Mhm.
luck to you. But I do have to agree with you about the other thing that you mentioned was the father kind of takes like a back seat to the
Yeah,
point where he's not even there.
right,
And as a kid, I don't never questioned it, but now as an adult, I question that. I'm like, okay, was he on a business trip the next morning,
right.
or what's the deal? Because even
Yeah.
whenever Josh calls his mother while he's at work,
Mhm.
the mother answers the phone. But if my son was actually missing, I would be there wondering where he is,
Yeah.
just like how she is. I would not be on a business trip or doing anything or working. But yeah,
Yeah. But the further we get into this movie, there's so much of this that is supposed to be this like fantastical element of like a lot of this is just how a 13-year-old is going to envision what being an adult actually is. But I think it just kind of draws he's probably got a deeper connection with his mother. We do spend a lot, you get to see a lot more between Josh and his mother. So we know that relationship is there. And I think that what makes home feel home to him. But yeah, like I wish they would have added a little bit more with the father element of like him being out like searching for Josh or something like that. Um
right.
it just seemed weird.
But
But yeah, the Zoltar machine, like Man, I remember, like, that was such a big deal after this movie came out, like, when I was a kid, I remember, like, I think there actually was a Zoltar machine, like, that they were putting at, like, some big box stores that you could go check out. Um, I vaguely remember, I think one of my cousins may have got to see one or something.
I
Uh,
think I remember seeing a Zoltar machine, if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken, like a little fair at one of my county fairs and stuff like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna stay far away from that thing because I remember what happened to Tom Hanks, and then with my
Right.
luck, I wouldn't even know where to go. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember seeing the Zoltar machine, and then after he makes that wish, and he goes, "I wish I was big," and he wakes up, he winds up getting off the bunk bed, and then he winds up hearing his mom call him, "Hey, look, come downstairs for breakfast. I do not have time to go and drop you off at school today or anything, and bring your little sister downstairs." What does he do? He goes on, tries to put his pants on. His pants are now too big for him. No, too small for him. And then also too, he also goes to the bathroom mirror. That's also another thing I thought that was funny. I like how they do this whole entire deal where we don't know what he looks like for a
Yeah.
person who's first time viewing this. And it kind of goes into where he goes to the bathroom just as the mother's walking upstairs to go and get his stuff. And I like how they have like that little hidden camera kind of trick of not knowing
Mhm.
what he's going to look like yet, and it's also hidden away from the mother as well. So I thought they played
Yeah.
off the narrative with that pretty well with the camera angle.
That's just like a classic cinema move, you
Yeah,
know? So we've seen it now in so many different
right,
movies.
exactly. But he's tripping out in the bathroom. He's shocked at it, and I like how he tries to disguise his voice as a little boy. Of course,
Mhm.
that doesn't work. She thinks that he has a cold. He hurries up, goes downstairs, pushes the his little baby sister in a
Mhm.
walker, and just lie and just say, "Hey, what about breakfast?" Next thing you know, he winds up walking
Yeah.
down the street. Well, not walking down the street, but gets his bicycle and rides down to the elementary school where he can find his friend.
Yeah. Well, he goes to look for the Zoltar machine first.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also too, he also trips out the mother. He doesn't even know the mother. Mother doesn't even know he's Tom Hanks yet. So that's
Right.
also another thing.
Yeah. Let's also talk about his baby sister for a second because the baby never freaks out in any way, right? Which is
Right.
crazy. Like that's another little element of it. And it almost goes into, those like old wives' tales of like, the babies just know everything, right?
Right.
But that, you would think like if the baby is freaking out, that add a whole nother layer to this movie. But it's just like the baby knows that it's like that's Josh, that's my brother. Um, I don't know. It's almost like you would I don't know. There's just some layers there that I think are really fascinating. Like it's all those details of like if the parents would have like paid attention to that, could they have known? Because that goes into this like this fantastical magical element of this. And that's the other thing that I'm like still stuck on is that it's like magic exists in a way, but like some people just don't get it, but some people like get it, and it's never really questioned.
Right. And the mother also has a hard time believing this though too
Yeah,
whenever she comes through the door. And you would think that she would actually see in his eyes and know that that's her son.
right.
But at the same time, though, like you said, there's that innocence with the little baby sister. It's like, okay, that's my brother.
Yeah,
So I liked how they brought out the innocence of the child to represent the fact that, hey, look, that's her brother. So therefore,
hmm
she's not going to freak out. So
yeah.
that's how I took it. But
I
the
think it's
mother should
also
have.
that yeah, it's also that the element of like, like from a mom's perspective, it's like no, it doesn't matter how old you get, like you're always gonna be her baby. She's always gonna view, their kids as babies, and it's hard for them to see them growing up and getting older, getting bigger. So I think that's kind of like some of the underlining meaning there. It's just like she's not ready for that at all.
No, he's not. And then, of course, he's returning home. He tries to explain his predicament to his mother, who he
Mhm.
refuses to listen and then threatens him by calling the cops and thinking he's a stranger who has kidnapped her son,
Yeah.
fleeing from her, and then finds his best friend Billy and tries to convince him of his identity by singing a rap which only they know.
Yep, I love that. Which he does the
I
same thing with his mom, right? He's saying like he's like spitting out information and but she just wasn't having it.
No, he goes, my birthday is November, da 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 da.
Yeah.
I have a birthmark on my butt. And then he pulls down his pants, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that part. I'm like, if a stranger had G.I. Joe underwear or something to that effect, I'd be like, yeah, I would be freaking out too.
Yeah.
That didn't help steal the deal on that.
No, I think that those kind of elements, yeah, definitely freaks her out even more.
But I just laugh at the fact that this is what a 13-year-old boy would do, though. He would
Yeah.
actually try to prove his point by
Mhm.
doing something like that, not and forgetting that he's actually a 40-year-old man
Mhm.
and pulling down his underwear, pulling down his shorts, and it's not regular men underwear, it's little kids' underwear.
Which didn't rip, like, like, if you look at his pajamas earlier, they look like they're torn to shreds because the mom's like, "What do you do in your sleep?"
Right. But his underwear perfectly well intact,
Perfectly fine. That's so
right?
good.
And I was just like wondering, I'm like, do they just decide, okay, we're just gonna let you rip your outerwear, but not
Mhm.
your innerwear? Okay. I just don't get it.
Just
But
movie
still,
magic
it's
choices.
I just took it as face value.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that winds up happening, Billy, I like how he tries to convince Billy, and at first he's freaking out too, just like the mother was, because
Mhm.
just Billy. And of course, this is also during PE class, whenever he's missing the basket and everything,
Mhm.
because he actually has a chance to win the game. And the coach is trying to tell him, hey, look, one more, you could have actually done the layup if you would practice more.
Mhm.
And so he had to pick up all the balls that the kids were throwing at him. And then that's when he meets up with Tom Hanks and AKA Josh, and he's freaking out. He's like, Billy, it's me, I'm telling you. And then next thing you know, he winds up doing that little rap song thing that they do. And I
Yeah.
love the little rap song beat thing that they do together because it's only
Yeah.
something that him and Josh do together. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, it's got the familiar, like, rhythm to it, but yeah, I love that part of it. It's one of the best.
And of course, with Billy's help, he learns that it will take at least 6 weeks to find the Zoltar machine again. So Josh rents a flop house room in New York City and gets a job as a data entry clerk at the McKillen Toy Company.
But this is the other part that just kind of floors me because it's like if this movie is remade today, like they never want to find who created this machine, right? The whole point is like finding this machine just to make a wish again. Whereas like the curiosity in me is like, I want to meet whoever invented this thing to know like how this magic actually exists. Because even like
Right?
Billy's like
Because
accepting it. He's like, okay, cool. Magic's there, it works. Like you're big.
exactly, like this is legitimately, this is my friend. So I
Yeah.
believe that's magic right there. Otherwise, because the other night I seen him as a 13-year-old kid, so of course he's gonna be an adult. So yeah, man, I
Yeah.
believe you. And then he winds up taking him over to New York City and puts his dad's clothes on, and then also too gives him emergency cash on top of it. He says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Where did you get this money from?" It's an emergency cash fund. He goes, Billy, what do you think this is? So, but I do agree with you, though. I think that if they added in like a gypsy or
Yeah.
someone that made the Zoltar machine, I think it would have been funny to have like a let's say like a Wolfman kind of vibe to it, where you actually
Mhm.
have a gypsy person who made a Zoltar machine
Yeah.
and have some type of thing like that. But instead, it's making us have that face value of just believing in the story, just as Billy and Josh are believing
Right.
in what happened.
Yeah, and that's for me, that's kind of gets more into this whole the nostalgia of this movie because like when I was watching this as a kid, like I never questioned any of that stuff. It's just
Either.
like you're just just kind of put you in that position of like, oh man, like what is it gonna be like when I get older and get bigger and like, go through life. And like these early moments, I just couldn't help but laugh at because it's like when we go to this like Fleabag motel, it's like
St.
how
Joseph's
much was
is
it? Like 20, $21 a night.
yeah,
Like what's a hotel these days? Like you're spending like 100, you know, like
like
those.
100, right,
Yeah,
$100 a night, but they don't charge you for the sheets though. This
right.
this place charges you for the sheets on
It's
top of the room stay.
It was like 20 bucks. Like
Right.
Give anything for those prices these days.
Exactly. I just like how Billy's like, they're Christian.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Saint
St.
James.
Joseph's.
Was it Saint Joseph's or Saint James? I can't.
St. James. St.
Saint
James.
James,
That's it.
right? He's like, yeah, it's religious. It's got to be fine.
And then, of course, Josh is freaking out because this is his first time away from home.
Oh
He's
yeah.
hearing gunshots. He's hearing things that he never heard before. So it's freaking him out. Even
Mhm.
with the Mexican guy talking on the payphone, he already hurries up and blocks the door, thinking that he's going to get through the door because he's hearing loud noises
Mhm.
and everything. And then the next day, Billy and him wind up trying to apply for different jobs. And I
Mhm.
like how they don't know how their social security number.
Oh, that's the yeah. That's like the best, yeah. Because I would at 13, I don't even think I knew mine. Like,
I know I
I
didn't.
just love those elements of it because that really captures like that teenage moment of like, you don't really have the need to know that kind of information at that point.
No, and
Just
I also thought it was hilarious though too. Hey, what does that guy have?
oh
And
yeah, it's
they're over
just
there
like
trying to look at
even the guy's just kind of like, what are y'all doing?
right. And then I was also thinking like this too. I'm like, okay, even if you have his social security number, it would register as a 13-year-old kid.
Right.
And then I was also going into the whole process though too. I'm like, well, even if it's made up,
Hmm.
how do you believe that this is actually a 40-year-old man? Each social security number is represented by a different person.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, it's the 80s. I'll just go with the disbelief and go with the
I
face value.
their their HR is non-existent.
No, there is no HR.
Yeah.
They're just in desperate need of a data processor and decided to pick Tom Hanks. That's what it is. They were in desperate need of help.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fun too because he just had such an interest in computers. It just kind of shows like he's like more like that. He's that shy. He likes sports, but he's also like the computer geek. He'll stay at home and play on computers and figure those out. So I like that worked out to his advantage. And then it's like
Me
as soon as
too.
he gets the job, I mean, it's like data entry, right? It's literally like schoolwork for him. He's just like you're just typing it in, and everyone's looking at him like, dude, like you're making us look horrible.
John Lovitz is hands down one of my favorite
Oh.
characters in this too. And I like how he looks at the office girl. He goes, "Hey, if you get with her, she'll wrap your legs around you, and she'll never leave you. Well, I'll make sure I stay away from her."
Oh,
And
it's
he's
just
like,
like
"What?"
uh, I mean, we could have gotten a lot more time, I think, with him and his coworkers.
That's what I would love to see. I would like to see like an office space with
I
just how they interact with each other.
It's like we need a director's cut where it's like a lot more time with with like adult Josh interacting with everyone around.
Right. And I also like how he is excited about his first paycheck. He goes, $123. And John Lovitz goes, "Yeah, they're milking us. It's highway robbery, right?"
Uh-huh.
So,
But yeah, you're going from like a kid that probably was getting like $5 a week in allowance.
right, to 100 and something dollars. That's
Yeah.
a lot of money to a kid. And
Oh
then
yeah.
Billy and them don't know how much to ask for at the bank thing. So they just ask for like any kind of amount that they can think of.
Well, they get like a $100 bill and everything else in ones. Like, I don't
But
know. I wonder how much. I wonder if any of those moments were just like improvised.
that would be hilarious if it was.
Yeah.
I would love to actually be on the set for that. And then, I like the chemistry between when Josh meets the company owner, Mr. McMillan,
Hmm.
and everything too, because of the fact that this is nostalgia for me as someone that loves toys as a kid.
Yeah.
Being in a toy store, playing around with stuff, laser tag with Billy and Josh, that was something that I wanted to actually have in my life.
Oh yeah.
To be at this big, huge toy toy store and be
Mhm.
able to just put my hands on stuff.
Oh yeah. Because
That
you think of
was
you got like this, and then you can also think of like Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, with the toy store there.
mhm.
That's yeah, like toy stores were like the coolest thing, and it's unfortunate. Like at least here, we don't really have them anymore.
Not over here
Now
either,
Now it's like if you can find them, instead of calling them a toy store, they're more of like collector stores or retro stores or vintage
or
stores.
hobby store, right?
Yeah, it's like everything we grew up with, but now it's like tripled the price because they know you'll pay that because, oh, like I had this when I was a kid, now I want to collect it. So it isn't an unfortunate thing. It's like I wish my kids could experience this because like it's something I got to have growing up at least once, and like it'd be cool to find a place like this, that they could go check out.
Right. And matter of fact, the only closest thing that I could think of that's like that right now is at the mall over in
Mhm.
New Orleans
Mm,
and everything that we went to. And there's a toy store combined in with like a hobby with hobbies
mhm,
and board games and stuff like that.
mhm.
And that mall is massive in size,
Yeah,
but that toy store was pretty awesome. I actually got a chance to go in the toy store and everything just to check out recently.
nice.
But I just felt like my childhood was coming back, and then I saw the prices. Like, well, this is why my parents were complaining about me. Okay, I
Yeah,
lucked out.
yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
this is such, this is, I think this is probably like one of the most iconic scenes that gets brought up so much, with playing chopsticks on the giant piano. And it's just, I love the element of like, he's already made himself stand out like in 1 week at his job as just being a go-getter and trying to, do a good job, which is probably just showcasing like how he was in school, as a student, and that just makes him stand out. And it's like that one conversation changed his entire career of like,
right,
like, look, these I played with these toys, they suck, like this is what you should be doing. And it's like boom, like now he's got a career jump.
right. Now he's the vice president, and even
Yeah.
Billy's asking him, "What does the vice president do?" I don't know. It's so because the vice president of what? I don't know.
Yeah.
So he goes into the office and starts playing with all these toys. He goes, "Wait, you mean to tell me they pay you to sit down to test all these toys, and then you have to tell them what you think of it?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Suckers."
Right. Which we do find later on that they still have like actual test groups as well. It's like it'll go through him, and then they'll like run it through test groups with other kids and to make sure everything's good. But yeah, like I think that right there, from watching this when I was younger, like even now, I'm like, man, that would be the dream dream job. Like, just let me like play with stuff. Literally, like let me play with all this stuff, break it, tell you what's wrong with it, what works, and let's make it better and go sell toys.
Exactly, and we'll get into the pitch meeting too, because with
Yeah.
the senior executives unimpressed with the toy, Josh shocks and challenges the executives with a simple declaration that the toy is not fun.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about this, while his follow-up suggestions invites the team for new ideas, he earns the animosity of Paul
Hmm.
and with the whole entire skyscraper turning into
Yeah.
a robot, and then he's playing around with it as he's trying to pitch it. You see the arms breaking off. You see Josh over there basically taking the head, and then it
Hmm.
goes right back down again. And you just see how wonky it is.
I mean, oh man, like I'm so like if I was sitting in that boardroom and I saw that, like, and I was someone else, I'd even speak up because that just looked horrible.
That was a
Like
horrible
it was
design. It's
not good at all. And I just like how the boss man's just kind of sitting back there with a grin on his face. And it almost had that classroom like atmosphere, right? Because it's almost like he's just sitting there tinkering with it and it falls on the person next to him and he's just like, yeah, so sorry, dude. Like he's just kind of like shy, but like just kind of figuring stuff out. And yeah, I mean, this is great.
It is also so big and so bulky to the point where it's like, what's the kid gonna do with this? And I like how Josh is over there saying, "Well, what's the fun in this?
Yeah.
What's fun about a skyscraper? A robot that turns into a skyscraper? It should
Mhm.
be like a bug or something." Next thing you know, you see everybody just chattering.
Yeah, it's like he basically pitched Beast Wars. I mean, it's like I was like, yeah, that's the toy line that I grew up playing with, which is essentially like Transformers, right? That's what they're kind of uh playing with there. But yeah, like
Right.
I love it.
But even whenever they're in the toy store, even the company, the person who's over the company winds up
Mhm.
asking him, "So, what do you think about the ice hockey game?" Because I like it, but the old one we can actually move around. This one you
Mhm.
can't even move anything.
Yeah.
So right then and there, he knew exactly who he wanted on the team to do this. But I also like how you wind up having you know Paul saying, "I don't get it, I don't get it."
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like
The whole
reversed in a
entire
way.
after the meeting is over with.
Yeah, he's basically being the child. Like,
Right. And I like how his girlfriend's just looking at him, kind of smiling this whole entire thing because she's just over it. I think
right.
at that point,
Yeah,
though, she was
which
just like over the whole
their
entire thing.
and their whole relationship was really bizarre because it's like I'm get like they were together, but there was moments that it's like, were they really together? Like, I don't know. They had something weird going on, and we'll get into that because that's like the whole controversy of this movie, and like I get it, but yeah, it's
But then, okay, after that happens, they wind up going to this party that they have, this company party, though, too.
I know. I wish my
Um,
company would like everyone companies throw parties like that.
Me too. I would actually die. I would love that. And of course, Josh has this big, huge tuxedo. Has this tuxedo that's very showy, and he's really standing out. And then there's the girl who John Lovitz says to stay away from. She goes, "Hi." He winds up going over to the other side of the
Oh yeah,
buffet.
it's like he's like walking, and then he's just like, nope, see ya.
And then finally the person that's over the company and everything tells him, "Hey, look, relax, have a good time." And then you also have the girlfriend of Paul's trying to talk business to him though too.
Hmm.
Just it's a party. Have a drink. Have a couple of drinks. I don't care. He does not want to have to deal with. He already did a meeting for God knows how long, and then
Right,
you're going to try and bring more
but I
to it
mean,
after.
that's the other elements of this that I like is, that's typically how these things go is, you can't like if you're really into your work, like you never leave it. Like you can try to do these kind of things and try to break away from that. And a lot of it's, try to build like the employee morale and get everyone friends together. But I mean, you can't escape work. Like there's always people that are going to do that.
Exactly. Then after that winds up happening, we finally get the part where we wind up having the part where the girl goes on ahead and takes him for the limo ride, and because she's like, "Hey, want to get out of here?" He goes, "Yeah," and because he wants to go for milkshakes, he doesn't care about this caviar and all this other rich people stuff,
Right. I mean, that's probably like there's no telling. Like, I wish I got more. I want more numbers from this air. Like, I wonder what that plate of food cost.
right? God knows how much that would have
Yeah,
cost, though.
right. I mean,
But yeah,
and like if she had the limo and she said it was a company car, like why wouldn't he like he should have like why would everyone get a limo? Or is it only
right,
for
because
certain
he's
level
the
of
vice
people?
president, he should have gone a limo too.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I would have had my secretary like just go get me a tux, hook me up with the limo.
But she's too busy trying to record all the commercials out of the Super Bowl from the Broncos and everything, probably. So
Yeah.
she won't have time to get him a limo. So
Oh, that
that's a
was
little bit.
great. That was great.
But then after that, we wind up seeing them jump up and down on a trampoline. We see them over at Josh's house, and goes. And I like how his door is all covered up. It's like "Do not enter," just like how it's
Mhm.
like a big, huge playroom for him. And just so can I stay over? He was like a sleepover. Just okay, but I get to be on top. I just started laughing.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of those jokes, was well placed. But yeah, like I'm curious, like now I want to search on YouTube, like if anyone's ever tried to recreate his apartment,
That would be great if somebody would. That
right?
I would like to see that.
Or at least we need like a Lego set, like how they've done like the Friends apartment and Seinfeld apartment. We need Josh's apartment from Big. It's got like the trampoline with the soda machine, the pinball
Right?
machine.
And I also like how how Billy and him are going out to Yankee games
Mhm.
and stuff like that, and just living the dream of
Oh, they're
just
like blowing his paycheck like as soon as he, but bumping up to VP, I wonder what his pay jumped to.
that's what I want to know.
Right?
Like, how much would a VP make back in the '80s to
Yeah.
be able to afford that huge building,
Yeah.
that
Oh
huge
yeah.
space that he has?
Yeah. See, he's filled it with tons of stuff. And granted, it's like all toys, right? So it's like, a lot of that probably wasn't much, but yeah, I'd love to know. Someone needs to like take what I guess what we can see from his apartment and price it out. It's like to know what it would have
Exactly.
cost.
But yeah, Susan is actually one of my favorite characters on here though too, because of the fact that she sees the innocence within Josh herself
Yeah.
though too,
Hmm.
and especially whenever he's playing around with the buttons and he's over there having the sunroof while she's trying to have a serious moment with him because
Mhm,
she's in distress. And even she says, I'm in distress. I
mhm,
need to someone to talk to, which is why she got out of the party to begin with.
right.
But I think that she chose Josh because of the fact that she wanted something different. I could tell that she was actually tired of the same old stuff over and
Yeah.
over again.
I mean, she's basically climbing the ladder, like, and she's breaking up with, the other guy, Paul. He brings up all these other names and just kinda showcases, like, she was really just trying to climb the ladder to get as close to the top as she could, utilizing the boyfriend she could make. And I feel like initially with Josh, that's what she was wanting to do, but as she got to know him and saw, like, that kinda innocence, like you said, that kinda changed her as the movie progressed. Yeah, for sure.
Because even whenever they're together, even when Paul and her and as in the apartment together and stuff like that, and they're having that conversation about Josh,
Mhm.
and then you see the milk carton. He goes, "Well, I want to know where he came from. I want to know what's going on. Why did they choose him to be the vice president
Mhm.
and everything?" And then just having that conversation between them, and then you see the picture of Josh on the
Mhm.
milk carton, and you can definitely tell that Susan is just tired of Paul always talking about Josh and negatively about him.
Oh,
To the
yeah.
point is like, okay, just drop it. He has a vice president position now. There's
Yeah.
nothing that we can do about it. Move on.
No. Yeah. He was the child.
Mhm.
He just, jealous and envious and wants to be the best and have it all, and he just wasn't getting his way.
No, and then especially whenever him and Josh play racquetball
Mhm.
and over there outside, he goes, "Can we just go in and play golf? People don't sweat in golf.
Right.
Can we go and play basketball? We can be like a team from McMullins." No, we're doing racquetball. Okay.
It's like always the kind of, elite sport. If you see watch any of these movies where you're dealing with like those that are essentially wealthy or upper class, that's kind of like their go-to is playing racquetball.
Exactly. Then Josh becomes increasingly entwined with his adult life by spending time with Susan,
Hmm.
mingling with her friends, and being in a steady relationship. His ideas become valuable asset to McMullen's toys. However, he begins to forget what it's like to be a child, and his tight schedule now means that he never has time to hang with Billy. So now he's actually having an adult life, and he's trying to juggle his kid life with his adult life, and he doesn't know quite what to do with it. He even goes off on Billy though too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that this gets into more of those themes of like, you know, when you're kind of growing up and you're not a kid anymore and you start actually having responsibilities, like generally your life just changes. Like it's not, let's just go see a movie, let's just go play baseball or let's go buy a new pack of cards. Like, you've got deadlines and you've got people counting on you for things. But now you're like on your own and making money. And it's like, if you don't do this, like it's just, there's consequences. And, that's kind of like the one big moment that I like in this movie of just kind of, all of this kind of stuff just escalates and catches up to him. And he really, he kind of goes through that journey of going back to where watching all these other kids and it's realizing like, you know, yes, I'm going to grow up and get bigger, but like, I just need to let it take its own course. Like, I need to
Right.
enjoy these moments of being a kid and not having to deal with these kind of responsibilities and, these relationship decisions and things like that.
Right, not to have to grow up so fast and so
Yeah.
quickly and miss out on everything. Because it goes into what I like about him going through that whole entire montage
Hmm.
is this. It goes into his childhood about it looks at two kids playing with leaves and stuff, then school pictures, and then it goes into the teen years of getting his driver's license, some kid driving, which is referring to him getting his driver's license and wondering why he would never experience that is
Yeah.
because of the fact that he's now an adult. So
Hmm.
I like how they play around with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But him and Susan winds up making love and everything too at her house.
We think. I mean, that's like, you know, you
Well, I
know,
mean,
you never
wait, huh?
that's just like such a big part of this, it's like, you know, because of those decisions, it's like, would this movie even get made today in the same way? Because, like so much of this part is really just his essentially his fantasy of what he thinks being an adult is. So, you never know what they actually do. It's kind of like, hinted at, but yeah, it's like, man, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, because think of it like this: he already ruined her top, so the next thing
Right.
he's gonna wind up doing is they're gonna. That's what I'm assuming, that they actually did make love, because he's
Yeah.
even full of energy the next day at work.
Right. Right.
Everything too. I'm like, yeah, he got he got some.
But it's also like, has he ever even kissed a girl, right? He
Right.
could
That's
be
also
so
another thing
excited
too.
because he finally got to kiss a girl.
I didn't think about that, but
Yeah.
in that kind of context, I was thinking the other way around.
Sure. Yeah.
But then it goes into the whole entire thing of, I like how Susan confronts him. She's like, "What do we go from here?
Mhm.
What about now?
Yeah.
Are you married? You're acting weird." She goes into the whole entire analyzation, and then all of a sudden he just hits her with the comic book,
Yeah.
just playfully playing with her.
Which he wants to tell her, like, he's already wanted to, and he's struggled with that, and but he's so, like, you know, he's just flushed because it's like she's into him. It's like he's like, "I finally got a girlfriend," it's like those kind of teenage emotions taking over, when in reality, he's like, "I probably should tell her, like, what's going on."
Exactly. And then, they go to the carnival, they wind up and that too. But
Mhm.
also, I like how they have that back and forth thing where she believes in him to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to help you out with your comic book idea that you have
Yeah.
for this video game.
Mhm.
How we're going to franchise it, what we're going to do. And he's even panicking because this is like the very first time we ever see any type of vulnerability with Josh.
Yeah.
A panic. He goes, "I can't do this, Susan. I cannot do this. They're asking
Mhm.
too much of me, and I don't know what I'm going to do. How about this? You do what you have to do, and I'll help pitch it." And
Mhm.
therefore, she has his back on it. I like that back and forth of like, "Don't worry, I got you. You just
Mhm.
focus on what you normally focus in on
Yeah.
and everything." So I like that. I like that whole entire idea.
Yeah, it's a good trust, and it kinda plays into, like, like, I don't remember having to do, like, presentations or anything until I got into, like, junior, senior year of high school, and he's, like, junior high, so it's still kinda like
Well,
it's
even a deadline though,
yeah.
to be in a company and you're 13 years old as trapped in an adult's body, and then having to ask to do this.
Well, true, and it's like, it's a deadline, but, like, it's making things that are gonna go into a store that they're gonna sell for money and profit, like,
Right?
because
Which is what.
that gets brought up more earlier on. It's like, "Oh, here's this toy that we've always played with that we paid this much for, but did you realize it only took, like, $10 to make it?"
Right. That's something that just blew my mind. Okay, so we're gonna pay $10. We are only gonna basically pay $10 to make this thing, but we're gonna charge 30 to make
Mhm,
our profits back from the amount of
mhm,
money that we made.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah,
Shark Tanked it.
yep. But yeah, McMullen asked Josh to come up with the proposals for his new line of toys. He is
Mhm,
immediately by the need to formulate the business aspects of the proposal, but Susan says that she will handle the business. And like we discussed, well, he comes up with the ideas. Nevertheless, he feels pressured and longs for his low life, which
mhm,
this is where we actually talked about with him wanting to go back to the way things were. When he expresses doubts to Susan, he attempts to explain that he is really a child, and she interprets this as the fear of commitment on his part in the
mhm,
mission of his explanations. So I like how she goes, "Well, everybody. So you're basically telling me that I'm the reason why things are falling apart for you. Why you're afraid of commitment?" Because he even says it. I was a 10-year-old boy, and next thing you know, it, I woke up and I'm an adult male.
mhm,
So as a grown up, it could actually be referred to that way. But to him, he's 13 years old who just happened to be who happens to be 40 years old
mhm,
for God knows how long.
right. Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, because, like, during these moments, like, they've gotten the information that they needed, so Billy knows where, like, the Zoltar machine is, and now he knows. So I'm sure that's, like, now weighing in the back of his mind. Makes me wonder, like, if he didn't know that information, how would that pitch have been handled if it would have been any differently?
I
Um,
think to be honest with you, I think that he would have stayed if it wasn't for Billy
yeah,
finding the Zoltar machine. Because
yeah,
remember, Billy winds up going into the mailbox and he winds up finding it,
mhm,
and then he winds up finding the envelope, and he winds up going over to the office, and then that's when Josh winds up yelling at him because he has
Right,
that
right.
deadline that he has to meet.
Yep.
And he goes, "Well, fuck you, Billy. Fuck you, Josh." So,
Which is another thing, like, this is a PG movie in 1988, and, there's an F-bomb, and there's, like, one other curse word, and there's, like, the one scene, like, it's just man, like, PG movies went hard back then.
they did. They really did. But then again, you're only allowed one cuss word in a PG-13 movie, one F bomb. So I wonder if that was still the thing, or basically, well, even in PG movies too.
Yeah.
Even like for instance, with Back to School with Ronnie Dangerfield,
Mhm.
that's supposed to be a PG-13 movie, and it had boobs in it.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah,
different
man,
marketing,
things have changed. Because
right?
also, like, I watched this on, Disney Plus,
Me too.
and you'd almost think, like, there'd be some kind of notice on it being a PG movie, right? But
Right.
I don't know. Disney, what are you
But
doing?
you know what though? They also took away a couple of scenes though too, where basically Josh looks down Susan's blouse and everything too. They took away that scene, I
No,
think. No,
no, they're
they
all
didn't.
that the whole
Okay,
movie is kept in, yeah.
okay, because that's also something else. I for Well, that was not a very the plot detail wouldn't even matter, but still, I
Well,
thought
it
that I
kinda
took
can
something
goes I
out.
mean, it's part of, like, some of their early conversations at the very beginning. It's like,
The
they're talking about
teacher,
sports and stuff like that, but they're also talking about girls and, they're just kind of at that age of being curious and interested, and, it kind of plays into that aspect of it.
then after that, after this happens with the whole entire him bursting out at Josh, not at Josh, but at Billy.
Mhm.
Josh learns that the Zoltar machine is now at the Sea Point Park. He leaves in the middle of presenting the proposal to McMullen and other executives. Susan also leaves and encounters Billy, who tells her where Josh went at the park. Josh finds the machine, unplugs it, and makes it a wish to become a kid again. He
Mhm.
is then confronted by Susan, who is seeing the machine and the fortune and has given him. He realizes that he was telling the truth.
Yep. Yep. She, yeah, I mean, I wonder what all she actually was thinking, right? Oh man, we lost John. Well, I'll keep going because I think we are still alive here on the show. But yeah, like this is such a big moment as well because um John's rejoining.
Yep.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm
We're
back.
still alive. I'm
Sorry.
trying to hold it together. It's okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what the deal is with my internet tonight. But anyways, but yeah,
Yeah,
I just
so
thought
we're
that
at
yeah,
that final moment of, just kind of Susan's just kind of accepting like this is all true and taking it all in, and they have that, that very nice conversation where it's like, he's kind of asking like, would you want to be a kid again? Basically, like, why don't you just make a wish as well, and we can stay together? And she keeps
right.
trying to
Why
make
not?
him older than he is.
Exactly. And she's like, no, I've already done this before. I know it was already hard on me the first time. Why makes
Yeah.
you think that I want to go back and do it again? Then I thought to myself, who would she stay with?
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's also another thing too that I was thinking of, like as an adult. I'm like, who would she stay with? How would that work?
Hmm.
And things like that too, if she did. But I like how he goes, well, there's only a million things I could think of the reasons why I would stay. There's
Yeah.
only one reason why I would stay. She goes, why? She said, because of you.
Hmm.
So he would be the reason why that he would stay was just
Yeah.
because of her. But he
Right.
has his friends at home. He has his mom. He has his dad who
I mean,
is not, yeah.
yeah, he's got a whole life and experiences that he needs to go through.
But yeah, then she declines, saying that being a child wasn't enough and takes him home. After sharing an emotional goodbye with Susan, he becomes a child again before reuniting with his family. The film ends with Josh and Billy hanging out together at the song Heart and Soul plays over the credits.
Yep. And it's just like back to normal.
Right? But you know what though, man? I like how he goes in for a kiss, and you're
Mhm.
thinking that she's gonna kiss him the way that she would kiss an adult.
Yeah.
But now that she knows that he's actually a child, she
Mhm.
refrains from that and goes into it just giving him a forehead kiss instead. So I
Right.
thought that was very touching. And she goes, you know what? You might want to keep my phone number for about 10 years.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to read that, but
It's just like that blank check moment where
yeah.
basically, the girl that he falls in love with happens to be an undercover cop. And
Hmm.
the cop's like, you know what? Reach out to me in a couple of years. I'm like, what?
It's like one of those old school packs. Like if we're both single by whatever, then we'll get together.
Exactly. But all together though, I still enjoy this film. Still has a nostalgia for
Yeah,
me and things like that of watching it for the very first time. And yeah, there's some questionable things. I didn't take certain things as face value this time like I did as a kid because
sure.
we're adults now.
Right.
But I still think that this movie is still a great watch as well.
Oh yeah. Just yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, I think this is one like you can always just throw on every few years and enjoy. Because yeah, it brings back so many memories of it makes you think about your childhood and what it was like growing up, and think of your friends and experiences, and yeah, it's a solid coming of age style story.
Most definitely. And I like revisiting this every once in a while. It's a good comfort movie just to
Yeah,
throw on
yeah,
a weekend.
yeah,
And like Luke and I said, you guys can check this out on Disney Plus for yourselves. It's streaming right now. So I recommend you guys check it out because I wasn't sure where I could actually watch it at. As soon as I saw it was on streaming on Disney Plus, I was like, okay, this is an easy watch for me. So I don't have to rent anything. So
yeah. I think it just dropped there because I tried searching for it earlier and and it was only available to rent. It wasn't showing, and then I searched again and found it on Disney Plus a few days later.
so that's gonna be it as far as this review goes. But Luke, do you have anything coming out on your channel or anything like that?
Yeah, so like I've been keeping up with a lot of new releases, and so I usually put out short reviews after I watch a movie, but yeah, I'm going to be playing catch up on my channel where we're talking about more of the new releases. And then I also co-host a Marvel based podcast, and we have Loki season 2 coming out pretty soon, so we'll be reviewing that once it comes out.
Nice. And guys, I'm going to be doing my One Piece review tomorrow night with Rossi, and we're going to be diving into season 1 of One Piece. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for that. If you guys want to,
Nice.
go ahead and follow Luke. I actually have all his stuff in the descriptions below, so that way you guys can go ahead and do that after the show. But yeah, that's everything that we have going on. We do have Nightmare on Elm Street ranking of all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies that we're going to be doing. We're not going to review them. We're just going to rank them. So that's going to be a good one. We're also going to do The Exorcist as well for a review. And we're also doing the very first Saw movie. And we're going to go on from there. But keep your eyes open for more times and everything too. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night. And thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Please don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button, and go ahead and listen to our podcast where you guys get your podcast from, and give us a 5-star review if you choose to do so. And with that being said, that's it.